Hiya, I'm back again. I'm going to show you now how I go about painting one of my animals. This one's just going to be a little giraffe. So I've hand modelled him in my porcelain clay. Then he's had a bisque firing, which is where the kiln goes up to about 1000 degrees. So he's solid but not totally fired yet. So it's a good surface to paint onto. And being porcelain, it's very white, so whatever I put on here is really going to show up nicely. So these are my underglaze colours. So the colour I'm going to put on is a light brown to start with, and I'm just going to paint on his patches. So I've got a square-headed brush, and I'm just going to go around just to paint all of his little square patchwork design onto his body. So each of the animals I do, they're all hand painted or hand modelled. So each one takes on its own character then. They all look slightly different, slightly bigger or smaller, or slightly different expression. Makes it interesting for me then, as well as for the customer, that they're not all exactly coming out of a mould exactly the same. So the underglaze colours go on at this stage, and then I'll glaze them. So this one will have a glaze over the top of the underglaze colours. I've just discovered that you can actually put the underglaze colours on top of a glaze as well. A couple of things came out of the kiln with not quite looking as I wanted them to, not quite dark enough. So I repainted them on top of the glaze and then put them back in, and they were perfectly fine. That's good to know. Sometimes happy accidents work out all right, don't they? It's all a learning curve. Even when things go wrong, it's a way of learning. So I'm just going all the way around, just being a bit random with the pattern. I've got a variety of these underglaze colours, and they do mix together quite well as well. So if I've got to make something, some of the birds that I do, to get the right colour that I need, I do mix 2 or 3 together. Never very scientific about it, and I don't actually write down how I did it. But so the next time I have to make them, it's slightly different again, but roughly the same. Okay, so you can see I'm just building up the pattern, going around. The colours do change quite a lot as well. Once the glaze is over the top, they'll look a little bit darker, I think. And although sometimes you can't see the brush strokes when you're painting them on, once it's had the glaze on, you can see a few more of the brush strokes. So you just need to be a little bit aware of that. It has been a bit trial and error using, and I do use a couple of different brands of underglaze paint, but they do seem to sit well with the glazes that I use. I have done a little test tile, which is a good idea if you're going to use the colours regularly, just to have a little piece of your clay and then paint your underglaze colours on, and then glaze over it in the glazes that you're going to use, just to remind yourself how they're going to look when they're fired. So they do vary slightly once the glaze is on the top. It's quite nice to have as a little reference. And sometimes if I've got a commission, I need a certain colour, I'll do a little test tile to see how they work out first before you commit yourself on your actual piece. I've been doing a few commissions recently, and it's quite nice to make different animals for a change. I made some bumblebees this week as well, which I've not done before. Large ones. I've done small ones that attach onto my animals. This was for somebody that wanted some bigger ones. And cows. What's going on? People want lots of cows. I've done some Highland cows, Frisian cows, belted Galloways. That's a new project for me. I'm going to do herds of cows. It's nice. And I've done a hen just recently. Somebody asked me to make a hen. It's nice to have a go at something different. Usually when I'm going to do a new animal, I have a look online and just look at how they sit or how they move, and try and work from an actual photo of what the animal looks like. It's nice to, if I'm doing a commission, people send me their photographs. I try and get a little bit of the personality of the cat or the dog in it as well. So once this has been glazed, this little giraffe's going to go, he'll be mounted on a wooden base, and then I put a little bird or a bee or a heart detail on a wire next to him, which is quite cute. Lots of people have been buying them for nurseries or birthday cakes or christening cakes. A nice little memento to keep. Right, so I've just about gone all the way around with his design. I've just put some highlights on his little horns and his ears, just to kind of give them a little bit of colour as well. And I've just put a little dab of underglaze on the bottom of his tail as well, just to give that a bit of detail. I'm going to leave the legs white, and then I just need to put on his features. This is when you need a little bit of a steady hand. So I'm just going to put those on. I've got a very tiny brush with hardly any hairs in it, but it's great just for doing the nostrils and the eyes. Try and keep a steady hand. His little nostrils, and then his eyes. Try and get them level each side as well. There we go. Make sure I haven't got any paint on my fingers before I pick him up now. Sometimes when you take the lids off, you put your finger in the paint. So there he is. He's all finished. That's his little face. He's ready to be glazed now. So I'll sit him on one side just to let the underglaze dry a little bit before I put the glaze on top, just so that it will absorb. Sometimes if the paint is a little bit wet, the glaze doesn't absorb so well, and so those patches won't be as shiny. So I'll just leave him now for a few hours to dry. I've got another one here that I've just finished as well. This is one of the little commissions that I do. This is a little Labrador that's heading off to a new home soon. There we go. Right, so I'll get glazing. Thanks ever so much for watching. Bye now.